The following show is a Pod Avenue production. You are cordially invited to have dinner with the King. Pull up a chair and join WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler and Glenn Moore. Enjoy.
Welcome to Dinner with the King. I am Glenn Moore, joined here by WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler. Jerry, we got here at your King Jerry Lawler's Memphis Barbecue Company. I got a big plate because I was up in Cleveland last night.
She's a world traveler today, man.
I was up in Cleveland for Raw. I was out late after Raw, and I had to fly here early in the morning to get all set up. I have all the mics scattered around here. I got cords everywhere. I got the cord and the barbecue sauce. Yeah. But we're all set up here. I got my tray of food. I got my tray of sausage, some brisket, and we're ready to go here for another episode of Dinner with the King.
This may be another marathon, one of those long episodes. If you're going to try to eat all of that while we're doing this, hey, you know what? We've got to get one of our. We've got to get a franchise open in Cleveland, and then I can come up there and catch Raw when it's in Cleveland, or a Browns game or something. One of my good friends, Ron Fittis, from here in Memphis, he goes to a Browns game every year, and he happened to be at this past week's Brown game where it looked like the Browns were going to pull out a win. But it was so weird. All the way through the ball game, I just watched it here at home, and all the way through the game, the guy kept saying that the announcer kept saying that Coach Hugh Jackson had talked about how good the Browns have been all year, except for the fourth quarter. He said every game, it seems like they've been in it all the way up until the fourth quarter. They had the big fourth quarter letdown. I mean, it was like a premonition. It was like he was getting everybody ready for what was going to happen. And sure enough, it happened. But anyway, my friend was there, and he said it was freezing cold and not a very big crowd for the Browns game.
Yeah, it was when I left this morning, it was snowing. And it's not. I'm not ready for winter. I'm glad to be down here. It's a little bit warmer.
Well, yeah, man. We're gonna have like the rest of this week. We're gonna be up in the 60s at the weekend and everything. But I in Cleveland at this time of year, right before Christmas, it's supposed to be snowing. And I wish we would have that here in Memphis before Christmas. After Christmas, I'm through with winter. I wish it would go away. But then down here we always get our snows in January or February or something like that. But anyway.
Well, I might hang out for the week, so I hope you get the spare bedroom ready.
It's always ready for you, Glenn. Hey, but we're talking about the restaurant and everything for just a second before we get back to you being at Raw last night. And hey, we could just because I said we need a franchise in Cleveland. We just signed a franchise. We're opening another King Jerry Lawler's Memphis Barbecue Company in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Is that
awesome.
Is that your first outside of Memphis?
That's going to be our first one outside of Memphis.
That's awesome.
And then there's several more that we're working on. But right now, one of the main ones, believe it or not, is, and I may have mentioned this before, but there's a guy wanting to put one in Germany.
What?
Yes.
Like an actual, for real?
Yes. I mean, there's a guy in Germany that wants to open a King Jerry Lawler's Memphis Barbecue Company in Germany.
That's awesome. So you go Jerry Lawler going worldwide.
Right, worldwide. That'd be awesome. Then and then there's another individual who's quite the entrepreneur who is looking at possibly opening 10 stores in the state of California.
Wow.
Yeah. I may be the next Ray Kroc or whatever that guy that started McDonald's was.
Was it Ray Kroc? He stole the idea from?
Yeah,
McDonald's?
there was a great movie.
Yeah.
About that, and I mean, really, I didn't. The only reason I went and saw it was because I was really starting to get into the franchise business with this restaurant at the time. But it was really an informative and enjoyable movie about how that all came about. How this guy, took the McDonald's franchise and idea for franchising, and blew it into this huge worldwide thing and I guess you could say he did, in a sense, steal it. But by the same token, it would have never gone anywhere if it hadn't have been for him. These two guys that originally started the McDonald's restaurants would have had one restaurant in California until the day they died, so it would have never gone anywhere. This guy really took it worldwide, and it was just a phenomenal thing, the way that restaurant franchise blew up. Yeah. So it could happen with this. Look around. This is a great concept here.
No, I love it. I love the concept. I love the idea of, Jerry Lawler's Memphis barbecue and all your photos out in California, overseas. It'd be great.
And the food. What about the quality of the food? It's great, isn't it?
I love the food.
I can tell. Look at what you're eating.
I already half done. But yeah, so if someone out there they want to open up their own King Jerry Lawler Memphis Barbecue Company, they go to jerrylawlerbbq.com.
Yeah.
And there's a link for a questionnaire, and all the right information will go to the right people, and I'm sure they'll get back to you quickly. And also, I think you have your online store open at Jerry Lawler Barbecue, the website. I think I'm going there right now, making sure the shop, and you have all the sauces and rubs.
Yeah, man, all the stuff is for sale.
All for sale. You have hats, T-shirts, pint glasses. You got some mugs. And gift cards. So for the holiday season, if you are
perfect gift, that's perfect gift for the holiday season. That's what you're getting from me.
For you,
from me.
Oh,
you're getting from me.
I was like, why am I getting? I would love to get this King, the pint glass. Isn't
that nice?
It's real nice. And put my coffee in this royal mug. Look at this. So so shop.jerrylawlerbbq.com. Let's put JR out of business when it comes to barbecue sauce.
Oh, man, wait a minute.
No, I'm sorry.
I did have somebody tweeted and asked me the other day, why don't you use JR's barbecue sauce in your restaurant? And I went, well, duh. We have Jerry Lawler's barbecue sauce in the restaurant. But no, nothing to get. I mean, JR sells his stuff in on WWE Shop. You could get JR's barbecue.
Yeah. So what we should do when you guys get together for doing your shows next year, there should be a blind taste test competition for barbecue sauce, and we're going to see who the head honcho is for barbecue sauces.
Well, you've seen the Memphis area down here. We've got a couple really famous, worldwide famous barbecue restaurants that
Corky's, my favorite.
Corky's, man, they sell their sauce everywhere, and also Rendezvous. Rendezvous is really big, and they sell their sauce worldwide too.
Yeah. So we got to have you versus JR. See who is a top barbecue sauce guy.
I'm game.
That'd be great. I'll be the judge.
Oh Lord, okay, that's good.
Let's keep on feeding me.
not that you're biased or anything. So.
Why I like both you? I like JR. Well, I'm a little biased to you, but JR is not bad. JR is not a bad guy. But anyway, let's
do some stuff together soon.
Yeah, definitely.
In January, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Well, you are? You got some books, some dates locked down, or?
Well, I told you. I don't know if I think they wouldn't mind. I don't think they would mind me letting the cat out of the bag, but maybe I could just say it's almost 100%. No, maybe I should say it's almost 99.9% certain that JR and I are going to be reunited for the 25th anniversary Raw show on January 22nd.
Oh, wow. So doing commentary?
Yeah, of course.
So you're going to do you and JR the whole show, or a segment, or what?
No, man, see, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to say something that I shouldn't say that the WWE may be waiting to, make a big announcement about. But I think everybody does know already that probably the show is going to be broadcast from 2 different locations, which I don't know if have they ever done that before? That may be a first.
I don't think so. Well, I'm trying to really. I don't think they've done 2 different locations.
Well, there's of course it's going to be a part of the show is going to be broadcast from the Barclays Center,
right?
And then they're going to broadcast part of the show from where Raw originated, the Manhattan Center.
Okay, so you and JR, I assume, are going to be the Manhattan Center.
I would think, don't you? That would make sense to me.
Yeah. So I mean,
that is place to me is so many memories of, starting out with Monday Night Raw. The things that just come to mind working there in that Manhattan Center, with oh gosh, where that was where I came out from the dressing room and then went and confronted Stu and Helen Hart while Bret Hart was wrestling Bam Bam Bigelow, and I cut the promo with Stu and Helen. It made Bret so mad that he came out of the ring and all the way up into the stands to go after me. That was at the Manhattan Center. And so many countless King's Courts there. Man, the one I did with Tiny Tim where I broke his ukulele, and the Undertaker and Paul Bearer. That was where I think the first time maybe the ECW invasion happened at the Manhattan Center. It was just so many things went on there. So yeah, it would just make sense for JR and I to be at that place, that location.
So, but you are going to be involved for that Raw. You and JR together in some capacity on television. Somehow.
I'm almost certain.
Well, I mean, it's a month away, so anything can happen. But
yeah, anything can happen.
That's what they're planning on doing.
That's what I'm planning on doing. I don't want to ever speak for the WWE because I can't. I'm not in a position to do that.
Yeah,
but
that would create some buzz. I mean, people. I mean, obviously, you get when you're out and about doing autographs or even for your bookings. I mean, you get a lot of people saying, "Hey, you and JR are the best duo in wrestling."
Well, what they say. What they say the most is, "You guys are the voice of our childhood." Yep. It's like we grew up, every Monday night listening to you and JR. And good grief, how many? 20 years almost we were on there together. So yeah, a lot of people spend a lot of time listening to JR and I do commentary on WWE. So it was yeah.
Tony Schiavone is my voice in my generation, of my childhood.
So in other words, you listened more to, or you watched WCW more than you did WWE?
I would, before 99, I would say, yeah, I would watch. I mean, I watched both, but I would be like, oh, Nitro's on. And then when commercial went to Nitro, I would turn WWE on and then go back to Nitro.
Well, there you go.
But,
I mean, that's, that was what it was all about. That was the Monday Night Wars.
Oh, yeah. But I'm saying, obviously, you and JR are more, that echoes in my childhood more than, Schiavone and Bobby the Brain, and you had Mike Tenay. I mean, those guys were good too over in WCW.
Oh my gosh, Bobby the Brain, the best, man. Whenever Bobby went from the WWE, it was so cool. On Twitter last week, somebody pulled up. It may have been you, I don't know, but anyway, somebody pulled up the clip. The first ever, my first ever appearance on the WWE was on that. Show Bobby the Brain Heenan introduced me, and I remember coming out there there was Hillbilly Jim and Gorilla Monsoon and Vince McMahon, and they had this throne set up for me, and Bobby the Brain introduced me to the WWE, and it was Bobby was special. That was a big that gave so much credibility to the WCW when Bobby jumped ship and went over there.
Yeah, that was both commentary. Stables were great back in the Attitude Era, the Monday Night Wars, but yeah. So, but back to the 25th anniversary of Raw. I'm looking forward to seeing you and JR back together and King. So obviously, this is a nostalgia show.
And another thing, well, we'll get back to that too. And then right after that is the Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
Royal Rumble is the 28th in Philadelphia, and if you remember last year, I called the Royal Rumble match.
Are you going to be in the Royal Rumble? Yeah, I remember that. Are you going to be in the Royal Rumble?
No, I don't want to be in the Royal Rumble, but I would like to call the Royal Rumble match.
Don't you want to be in it or call it?
I wouldn't mind being in it, of course.
Of course.
But, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm on the no-touch list still, I guess.
Well, you can be thrown over without being touched.
How's that?
Just hop over just back away. You could be in the ring and Braun Strowman can come strolling in. And you can just
I just jump over and get out myself.
Yeah, I don't think that wouldn't be good for Jerry the King Lawler's character. Him being a coward. Jerry the King Lawler's not a coward.
I did hide under the ring when Royal Rumble one time for a long time.
Smart. That's a smart move.
Oh, okay. Well, let me tell you something. Jumping out of the ring with Braun Strowman coming at you would be a smart move these days.
Well, remember Drew Carey? He did that when Kane came out, and Drew Carey just eliminated himself. He tried bribing Kane with money, like Kane needs money or he wants money. A guy that shoots fire, and then Drew Carey jumped over the top rope and eliminated himself off the Royal Rumble. Oh, it was great. All right, but back to 25th. Are you going to wear? Back in the Attitude Era, you wore those royal jackets that a king would wear, and you had your crown. Are you going to wear?
You've been to my club down on Beale Street here in Memphis. You see them; they're still hanging up. They're on display down there. I could just pull one right off the mannequin and put it on and wear it. I think that's a very good idea, actually.
Would it still fit?
Yeah. What do you mean? Would it still fit? Wow. I actually weigh less now than I did then.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Whoa. Well. Eat some barbecue. Eat some more barbecue then.
No, I wanted the jacket to fit.
That's a good idea. You have the nostalgia factor of having one of your jackets on. No shirt underneath.
Right.
Just your sweater. Chest hair.
Yeah, well, I keep that a little more manscaped now.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan.
A little more than I did.
Hulk Hogan.
Grief, Hulk Hogan taught me that. But man, I see some. It was so funny. I was somewhere the other day, and somebody gave me this picture. I was at an appearance, and somebody gave me this picture, and they said, I don't know if it was son or daughter, but anyway, obviously a little child, drew this picture of you. And it was like one of my, it was done from, I guess, one of my old photographs from like the 70s. And, oh my gosh, they just made my, the face had the crown on and everything, and they had the little beard. And then all of a sudden they just like took their pencil and just started backing out my whole chest. It was just solid black hair on my chest, like you said, like a shirt or something. I don't remember it being that much hair, but I guess it was.
Yeah, it was like a sweater. Oh boy! All right, so that would add the vintage look to having the 25th anniversary of Raw.
Should I grow the little goatee back? I did. Yeah, I did have that when I first came up there, didn't I? Or did I?
For commentary, I think you were clean shaven.
I think I was too.
Yeah.
Won't grow the little crown goatee back then.
No goatee, but you can definitely bring the crown, bring the jacket, and that'd be nice to see you and JR doing some commentary for whatever they have planned for you guys. Well, speaking of Raw was up in Cleveland. I was, thanks to you, Jerry, had a ticket to watch the 3-hour show up in the Q, Quicken Loans Arena. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to recap the show because that would take forever. But I did enjoy seeing Kane, one of my all-time favorites, the guy, Glenn Jacobs, running for mayor in Knox County, Tennessee.
When is that election?
So the primary is in May of next year.
It's a ways away.
Yeah, and then the actual election is in August, I believe. So, well, that was my question. Kane is getting a little bit of a, not I wouldn't say a push, but he's being featured more after being away for a while. And we all know he wants to obviously turn to being a mayor of Knox County. He has his own insurance company in Tennessee. So obviously he's getting up there in age. He's been a guy that's been around for decades. Obviously, you know a lot about him, but he's been a guy that's been reliable. He hasn't been injured, hasn't been away because of injury or any kind of
that was a key word that you just said right there. He's a guy that's been reliable for the WWE. He has always been game for anything they ever wanted him to do, and he has been, just a all-around good guy. I mean, he's just a dependable. You can't say anything bad about Glenn or Kane. Just the guy has been there for anything and everything. And believe me, if you think back on his career, they've done everything with Kane, and he's always been right up there at the top as far as talent goes in the WWE for all these years. So, but the funny thing or the weird thing to me is And everybody has their reasons. I ran a couple of times too, and now when I look back on it, I think, why on earth did I do that? And I just think in these days and times, when you look at the political climate, why would anyone want to be a politician?
Yeah, it's a head scratcher.
It really is. But I mean, but to me, Kane is the type of individual who would really be doing it because to serve the public,
right?
Which is what they're supposed to be, and is what politicians are supposed to be designed to do. And almost inevitably, it turns out that that's not why they ran, and that's not what they do once they get in office. But Glenn, I think, would be one of the exceptions to where he would really be an honorable guy and a fair guy, and somebody that would represent his constituents on a first class level. I just I think and I guess he's going to be, or if he wins, will be the county mayor. And we have a similar situation to that in Memphis. We have a Memphis city mayor, and then we have a Shelby County mayor, which of course Shelby County is the entire county. But in our case, the city mayor has so much more, so much more influence and power than the county mayor does, which it seems like it ought to be
the other way around,
the opposite, but it's really not. Yeah, and then of course Knox County, which is where he's running, that's like probably the third biggest county in the state of Tennessee. I think now Davidson County, which has Nashville in it, is the largest. Memphis and Shelby County is the second, and Knox County with Knoxville is probably the third largest county in the state. So I mean, it would be a big deal and a big job. But like I said, when I ran down here in Memphis, by the time I got to the election, I was thinking, boy, or when I didn't win, I thought that's the best thing that never happened to me. It's just, I don't know. It's just, first of all, what I found out down here, what Glenn would find out is the mayor, it's not like you think the mayors would be like the most powerful guy in the city or the county. And it's not at all. The city council runs the city, and that's the way it is in all the counties or all the cities. The city council are the ones that have the power, and the mayor is almost just sort of a figurehead. I never forget when I was running, I had to sit down with Jesse Ventura, who had been the governor of Minnesota, and I said, Jesse, what do you have to do? And he just laughed and he said, you don't have to do anything. You don't do nothing. I said, what do you mean? He said, everybody else does all the stuff. You don't have to do anything. You're just, you walk around and you meet people and you shake hands and you talk and you go out and, make some speeches and that sort of thing. He said, but he said, there's somebody to do everything that has to be done. You don't have to do anything. So, wow. And it was just, I don't know. I mean, I hope that Kane wins, and I wish him well, and simply because, I think he would be a guy that would go in there and try to do something, and do some good, which great.
Well, for the wrestling aspect, I mean, he is getting a so-called a little bit of maybe a last hurrah, because he's going to obviously focus on winning the election when it comes springtime. So now he's getting a little main event push. Him and Braun Strowman battled in the main event of Raw for the number one contendership for the Royal Rumble against Brock Lesnar. So I almost feel like this is kind of like the last run for Kane before he focuses on becoming a mayor and doing everything that requires for him for next year. So I know you've talked to Glenn or whatnot. I mean, has he an indication that this could be kind of like his last little send off before riding off to becoming hopefully a mayor?
No, he hasn't mentioned that at all to me, and I don't think that he's. Once again, I can't speak for him. I was going to say I don't think that he's looking at it like that. I mean, this is Glenn is not like an old guy like you think of most politicians. You know, I think today is election day down in Alabama. You know, for that big election that everybody's been talking about and everything. But I mean, when you think of Glenn or when you think of Kane, you don't think of him in the same light as or you know, as most politicians that you look at that are like in their 70s and that sort of thing. You know, so this doesn't have to be his last hurrah or his last run or his last push at all. I think that Kane has a lot of mileage left in him.
Yeah. Oh, he's one of my all-time favorites, and just overall, just one of the best, I think, wrestling characters. Just the monster and the Kane, the whole backstory. Do you ever know what May 19th is all about with Kane? Remember that storyline? May 19th? We never found out what May 19th stood for. Every year it comes.
No, I was all of a sudden when you said that, I was thinking, oh my gosh, he's put me on the spot here. I don't know. What am I supposed to know?
It's one of those forgetful.
It doesn't have anything to do with that dreaded this time of year. No, it would be December 19th. Might have something to do with Christmas creature, but I don't know anything about May 19th.
Well, one of my favorite, well, not my favorite, but one of the other storylines with Kane was the Katie Vick. Remember Katie Vick?
Vaguely.
Katie Vick was when Triple H and Kane were feuding. I think this was like early 2000s. Katie Vick was like a girl that Kane. This is all storyline, people. Kane supposedly killed, and Triple H put on a Kane mask and went to the funeral home and like had sexual relations with the dead body in.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not like.
I think that's why I don't remember it, because I would definitely want to put that out of my mind.
Yeah, Katie Vick. Like there was a fake funeral, and
that didn't go all the way to fruition, did it? I think that was just somebody's idea that they sort of maybe started to do. Then they didn't go through with that, did they?
Dude, it went. No, it went.
Dude, it went. What?
Triple H showed some video of Katie Vick's funeral in the next week of Raw. Triple H was dressed wearing a Kane mask as he addressed the body. Wearing the Kane mask, Triple H went on to grope the body of Vick, who was in the casket. He would go on to have sex with the dead body.
Oh, come on.
And the final...
Let's don't even talk about that.
The final line was... No, hold on. Come on. It's fine. The final line was, I did it. I screwed your brains out.
I did. I really did it. I really did. I screwed your brains out.
And then Kane faced Triple H in a tag team match later in the show. The episode ended with Triple H being stuffed in the trunk of a car by Kane saying, "Now I'm going to screw you."
Wow.
This is 2000.
Who was doing the commentary on that show?
Oh, you actually. This is 2001. You were gone.
There you go. Yay.
There you
go. Didn't have anything to do with
You had nothing to do with this.
I have deniability. Totally.
You were.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, 2001. Actually, no, 2002. Hold on.
What?
This is 2002.
Oh, no, I was back.
Yeah, you were back. This is when Eric Bischoff was... Yeah, you were back.
Are you sure that stuff really happened?
Oh, dude.
Well, I know it didn't really happen, but I mean, are you sure that was a storyline on the show?
I would not BS you, King. Yeah, this was... I remember this, as a kid watching this. And there was a whole other casket. They had a casket match between the two. And then Triple H had the mannequin out. It was just really bad.
It was a mannequin, right?
Well, they had a ton of complaints.
Did a what?
Complaints next week.
I can imagine. You think?
Yeah. And Triple H came out to the ring with a mannequin of Katie Vick, insulting fans that were offended. I mean, this is something that they probably want to forget, but I mean, it is in wrestling history. It is on the network. You can watch it on the network if you want.
See, that's amazing. That to me is one of the cool things about the network. I'm glad that they don't censor the network. I mean, like you say, that could never be shown today, but it does still exist, and it can still be shown on the network, which is so cool to be able to go back and look at something that you don't remember. In my case, that everything that ever took place in the WWE is on. It lives still on the network, and you can, if you have the network, you can go watch it.
It was, yeah. I'm just searching really quick on the show, and that's to see if they actually have it on the network. But I mean, yeah. I mean, the whole show. You know, this episode of Raw, episode number 491, is available on the WWE Network. So yeah, the forgetful Katie Vick storyline with Kane, which I'm sure people in WWE want to make sure that doesn't happen again, because you could never do that now.
Oh no! Oh my God, no!
If someone was humping a mannequin,
please, Glenn.
Oh, there's been worse things in wrestling.
I don't know. That may be the worst.
You think?
Necrophilia?
I don't.
I think that may be the worst.
I mean, I shouldn't be laughing. I know people are going to like
Who the big boss man drug somebody's dad's casket around or something one time?
Oh yeah, the Big Show, his father.
Yeah, that was bad, but that's not as bad as the Katie Vick thing.
Cry for your daddy. Crying for your daddy. Big Show crying. I'm fast forwarding through this episode of Raw just really quick as we sit here and eat some barbecue, trying to find if they actually show the Katie Vick segment, just so I'm not misinforming people. So I'll let you know if it actually pops up. I would.
That's what Triple H said.
I would be surprised if they. Oh my God, they do show it, King.
Really?
Here's Triple H.
Okay. Don't describe it here.
Hold on. Let's see if they show the whole thing on this fast forwarding it through. This is amazing. They actually still have this on the network at the 55-minute mark for those people at home. Okay. So he's groping the mannequin, and they have it blurred. The groping.
Oh, I was going to say, could you tell it was a mannequin or what?
Well, yeah, it's a mannequin. You could tell it's a mannequin. So he's groping the mannequin, touching her puppies, and they censor it with blur. So now he's taking his shirt off, getting ready. He took the bra off. And now he's taking her undies off.
Okay, come on, let's look. We're eating here.
He's sniffing the undies.
I love the smell of formaldehyde in the morning.
Stop.
He is okay. They actually are showing this. So yeah, they actually show this on the network. So great. So that's not my favorite Kane angle of all time.
That is your favorite Kane angle of all time?
No, not my favorite Kane angle.
Oh, not. I would hope.
Not. No, not at all.
Wow.
But yeah, so Kane. Hopefully Kane sticks around for, even if he. Imagine if he wins mayor, he can't wrestle if he's a mayor, right?
I would. I mean, I would think that the WWE would allow him to. I don't know if his.
If you would have won mayor of Memphis, would you have still worked with WWE?
Yeah, that's what I absolutely told. That was one of the things probably that made me not win. But anyway, yeah, that was part of the platform that. One day a week, I would still be going to. I think that was back in the day, when I had to go to fly up to Stamford, Connecticut, and do the voiceover. We did the voiceover there at the TV studios.
Okay, so you still would be involved with Raw at the time.
I would have been, yeah.
So if you would have won, and this is a question. This is kind of like our a miniature Ask the Candy thing, because we're going to ask a couple of questions. For the show, but one person wants to know, King, what would your career be if you would have won mayor of Memphis? How would that affect you for the next, 15 years since then?
Oh my gosh, who knows? And I really, since I didn't win, I really have not taken time to think that much about it. But I mean, I'm sure that it would have been a totally different a career, I really hate to think about it because I'm happy with the way my career went. I'm just, like I said, that was the best thing that never happened to me. I'm glad I did not win and get into the world of politics.
Yeah, but you did have a strong showing for the election, though. I mean, did that surprise you?
Yeah, the first time. No, oh my gosh, no kidding. When it got really down to the last week of campaigning and everything before the election, I really thought I might win. And I was like,
scared?
Sort of.
Yeah.
And I'll be perfectly honest with you, I was so swept up in it at the time. I was really, I was out there busting my butt campaigning and yeah, I mean, had I won, yeah, I would have taken the job very serious and that's what I was intending to do there at the end. And then, like I said, that last week, it kind of all hit me and going, oh my gosh, what road am I going to take now if I do win this thing? What is my life going to be like? And thank goodness I didn't have to make that life change at the time.
Yeah, that would have been. I mean, I'm sure, like I said, WWE, you still would have done that. So I don't think maybe it would have affected your commentary. Maybe not as Attitude Era-ish. If you would have been mayor, I mean, obviously people can't blur, the line of your character and actual person, Jerry the King Lawler. Some people can't distinguish the difference between the two people. So,
well, actually, when I excuse me, when I ran, wasn't it 1999?
Yeah.
We were. I don't know. Was that right in the midst of the Attitude Era?
Yeah, that was right in the middle. I mean, you had a Monday Night War going on, so that was right in the thick of things. So I mean, you couldn't have the mayor of Memphis, on WWE screaming puppies, puppies. I mean, that wouldn't
probably not.
I'm sure the city council wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
So that could have affected your whole, not only your life personally, being a mayor of a city, major city, in a big state, but also your bread and butter job for decades before in the world of wrestling.
Yeah, but I mean, who knows? If in the case of Jesse Ventura, that was how he won. I mean, he won, and he wasn't just a mayor; he was the governor of the state of Minnesota, and he won because the people liked the character. I mean, of Jesse Ventura, and had I won, it would have been a big part of it would have been because of the people liked the character that I played on TV. So, I think that you might have been at that point able to tell city council, said, hey, this is this is what they want, this is what they're going to get.
Yeah. This could move on to another question for our Ask the King Anything episode. Like I said, a few questions for this episode. We'll do a future one, shortly with more questions and voicemails. But Dave Dynasty, a loyal listener to the show, shout out to Dave. He wants to know
what's his name again. Dave what?
Dave Dynasty.
Dave Dynasty.
He always tweets at the show. He's a loyal listener of the show. He wants to know about your experience working with Dick the Bruiser.
Oh, Dick the Bruiser, Richard Afflis. He was a former player for the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, he was. Yeah, he played in the NFL.
Yeah,
went to
Green Bay Packers, right?
Went to Purdue. He started his wrestling career in Chicago, but he played for the Green Bay Packers as a lineman in the early 1950s.
Right on.
He passed away in.
I know my history, man.
Passed away.
What year did he pass?
1991. He was 62.
Wow. Yeah. So obviously, the way the match with Dick the Bruiser came about was we were building up to a world title match, and we really had the interest peaked in Memphis for me to get a shot at the NWA World Championship. So Jerry Jarrett came up with this scenario where I would have to go through the top 10 contenders for the title, so that we could, we went 10 straight weeks bringing in a top name from other territories, and we brought in, down in Atlanta at the time, Mr. Wrestling 2, Johnny Walker was a huge star. We brought Johnny Walker in. Bobo Brazil was a big name up in Detroit and up in that area. We brought in Bobo Brazil for me to go against one week. The Sheik, the original Sheik, Eddie Farhat, was a huge name. We brought in him and Dick the Bruiser. I can't remember all the other 10 guys, but anyway, so that was my deal, and I'll never forget. I was young. This was in the, gosh, I guess mid 70s or something like that, and I didn't. My name wasn't out nationwide in the other territories at the time. I was just being kind of pushed as the top guy just in Memphis, and I'll never forget the night I wrestled the Sheik. I went over into it. I'd never really met him. Went over to his dressing room, and he was all, he had just gotten in there, and he was kind of putting his stuff away and everything. And I walked in and just started talking to him, and we talked for maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. And so then after we're talking about just one thing or just more or less small talk, talking about the Memphis territory and everything. And then he said, "Well, kid, do you know who I'm working with tonight?" And I was like totally embarrassed. I said, "Oh, yes, sir. You're working with me." And he said, "Oh, okay." And so, I just like that. I was like a nobody compared to these different stars that we brought. And the same case was with Dick the Bruiser. And Jerry Jarrett would go to these guys and explain to them, what was going on, and they were then expected to, which every one of them was great about it. They were expected to, make the people believe that I was going to be the top contender for the world title when we brought. I don't know if it was Jack Briscoe at the time or who was the champion. I can't remember all those details, but anyway, so some of these guys, a few of them, like they didn't want to do a big favor for me. They didn't know me, and they didn't know anything about. They had no reputation to speak of or anything like that. So it would be just like. Here's a big star coming in, and they want me to put over this nobody. And Dick the Bruiser, as well as I can remember, was sort of that way. I remember doing a lot of stuff to him, and it was tough to even get Dick the Bruiser to go down to one knee, much less fall down or take a bump or anything like that. He was strong. He wanted to be strong. But then we got through the match and all that was fine. And after that, I know our territory bordered on southern Indiana, and the Bruiser's territory was up just it started right as ours ended and went on up into Indiana and over into I think Michigan and that area. But we did that. Having that match kind of gave us a working relationship with the Bruiser business wise, and we started exchanging some talent with him. He was he owned that territory up there, and so and at the time there was a lot of problems with athletic commissions. And the Bruiser did this. I'll never forget. He did a groundbreaking thing. Athletic commissions were things that were formed, and some states still have them, where they take tax. They tax. It's just a way to tax wrestling events, and they call themselves a state athletic commission, where they oversee athletics. But the only athletics they usually oversee are wrestling, or possibly sometimes boxing. And so it was just a way for them to get money from the promoters. And Bruiser finally took them all to court in the state of Indiana, and the athletic commission abolished by showing that hey, you guys, it's you guys are targeting nobody, but you call yourself an athletic commission, you target nobody but wrestling, and so anyway, he got the athletic commission abolished up there, and I think then Jerry Jarrett tried to. Go that same route with the athletic commissions that we had in some of our states too. But personally, I didn't ever get the opportunity to know Dick Bruiser well. I know I think his son-in-law, Spike Huber. Spike, matter of fact, Spike still lives in Memphis, Tennessee to this day. Spike married Dick the Bruiser's daughter, and Spike then came in and worked for us here in Memphis a lot, and wound up staying here. I believe Spike has some kind of business in Memphis right now.
But let's talk about one coming up right now. Dick the Bruiser, you wanted to fight? By golly, here was a fight. And I gotta say that this was a non-title bout between Jerry the King Lawler and Dick the Bruiser, the international street fighter.
Well, he turned out to be Dick the Loser when I got through with him, right?
Yes.
You see, you've heard in football, they always have a game plan, right? Well, you have the same thing in wrestling. When you find out who your opponent's going to be, you got to take a little time, you got to sit down, evaluate the situation, and decide what your strategy is going to be for that match. Well, my strategy for Dick the Bruiser was simple. That was beat him at his own game. Now, he talks about he's a street fighter and a brawler. Well, let me tell you something. You're listening to the best of the street fighters and brawlers in King, baby. Don't ever let anybody tell you any different, Lance Russell. Now, Dick the Bruiser, see, he really thinks, now here's where I'm outsmarting. He really thinks he's got me in a bad way. But the problem with Dick the Bruiser is, I'm almost hesitant to say it, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. He has had his day. He's seen his better days. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? He's almost in your category, Lance. Dick the Bruiser was at one time probably a really tough, mean, street-fighting, bang wrestler. Yeah.
Dick the Bruiser, he was the one that coined the nickname for Bobby the Brain Heenan as the Weasel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Back with a run in this territory. Now, yeah, he passed away in 1991. His widow, Louise, said he was weightlifting at his home with his adopted son, John Carney, and he ruptured a blood vessel in his esophagus.
Oh, my gosh.
That's the way he passed away. Wow.
Oh.
62 years old, Dick the Bruiser. So
yeah, I mean, he was a legit tough guy, and I mean, I still seem to this day, the Bruiser and the Crusher, his partner, the Crusher, they looked a lot alike, and I'd see these guys, just two mean-looking mugs. They always had a cigar in their mouth, and sometimes wearing top hats and stuff like that. And Dick the Bruiser became one of the, he was what was a lot of times wrestlers were stereotyped. If anybody wasn't a big wrestling fan and you thought, and somebody tried to talk to him about wrestling, boom, Dick the Bruiser was the picture of the wrestler that popped into most people's heads. Everybody had sort of seen Dick the Bruiser at one time or other, and he was what wrestlers were considered to look and act like back in the day.
Yeah. Speaking of tough guys, another question. This is from Mark in Illinois. Speaking of tough guys, actual real tough guys in wrestling, who was a guy that sticks out in your mind that you faced over the years that was a legit tough guy, that a guy that you would not want to walk in a dark alley and face in an actual fight, but also, he was a professional wrestler. So any guys come to mind right at the top of your head?
Oh, man. Oh, there were a ton of them. I mean, ton of big, tough guys in the business, especially back in the day that, heck, going up till now. I mean, Brock Lesnar, good gosh. But back in the day that I was doing it there in Memphis, Joe LeDuc comes to mind. Lumberjack Joe LeDuc, tough, strong, and sometimes crazy kind of guy. Some guys that came through, Stan Hansen, Bruiser Brody. Man, we had a ton of guys like that. I mean, I could if I started reading down a list of our talent. We had two big guys called the Zambui Express. There were bad Leroy Brown. Oh man, just there were a bunch of guys that were legit tough guys. That was one of the things with also back in the day. You talk about the champions, the guys that were like the NWA champions or WWE champions for that matter. They usually would keep the title on somebody that you didn't have to worry about somebody double crossing them in the ring and being able to pin them and all of a sudden be called the champion when that wasn't the original plan. And so I mean, man, guys going all the way back to like Lou Thez. Oh my gosh, this guy could handle anybody he was in the ring with. The Funks, both of the Funks. Jack Briscoe, great amateur wrestler. Nobody was going to go in there and just all of a sudden say, you know what, I'm just going to pin this guy whether he likes it or not. That wasn't going to happen. Harley Race, as I said, the Funks. Harley Race was a really tough guy. And that was anytime a guy had the world championship, it was because they had the confidence in his ability to make sure that he didn't go in there and get double crossed by somebody tougher than him.
All right, so when it comes to guys, being legit badasses in the ring, it doesn't mean these guys were legit punching guys in the ring because these are tough guys. They are good workers, and these aren't guys having legit fights in the ring, right?
Well, I know you and I have tried to talk about this in the past, and talk about guys that just would, I don't know, go off. I don't know. The term has always been in wrestling, shoot.
Yeah.
That mean and all of a sudden it was like totally real and everything. I've never. That just didn't happen. I mean, it just didn't happen.
So never. I mean, there's.
I'm not gonna. I can't say never because
right.
I wasn't in every match or see every match that ever took place in the business.
But for you personally, in your matches,
no.
So there's never a time when people are like, oh, Jerry and so had some bad blood in this match. These are, they're really going at it. That never took place.
Well, I hope that people felt that way in every match I ever had.
Right, definitely. But it's still, it's.
I mean, everybody. Bill Dundee and I were never great friends or anything. We never hung out at ever. We'd see each other almost every night of the matches, but I think there was always that bit of professional jealousy towards each other, and that's a healthy thing. I think that exists all over the place in the business. I think that the guys in this business are never as good friends as people think they are, but you work together, and you don't let that screw up what you're out there to do. So I mean, as much as Bill Dundee and I. We're not close friends. We never, he and I never broke down and tried to beat the hell out of each other either. Just didn't do that. Because you realize this job, you don't want to injure somebody where they're, bust their face up or injure. And when I say stuff like that, yeah, there have been times when, guys like Sputnik Monroe here in Tennessee and Billy Wicks, they used to go in and legit try to bust each other open. They would say and know that they were going to hit each other in the face as hard as they could because they wanted to make each other bleed.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that kind of stuff has happened.
You guys weren't the best of friends, but it's a job. It's not
right.
like two guys working on an assembly line. And one guy's going to sabotage the assembly line so the other guy gets hurt. It's the same way that goes in professional wrestling. You're taking care of each other so you guys aren't legit getting hurt. And you don't have to be friends out of the ring. How do you feel about when you see wrestlers nowadays, the good guys and the bad guys, posting pictures together like on social media, being besties even in the public eye? Does that bother you, or is that just what the times are now?
That's what the times are now.
Yeah.
That's what the times are now.
So if Twitter was around back and you and Dundee were going at it, there would never be any photos of you and Dundee hanging out.
No. No, there wouldn't. Yeah, that back in the past, that just was a no-no. It was taboo. You just didn't do that.
What changed that?
Well, what changed it was, wrestling becoming sports entertainment.
Yeah.
And just, telling the world, hey, we're in there to entertain you, and it's but don't get me wrong. I mean, it's I think you can see the shoulder, this collarbone popping up through my shirt right here.
Yeah.
It's a tough business. I mean, everything. It's so amazing. I mean, it's like. Everything that you see us do, all of these wrestlers do, it's happening. I mean, when somebody jumps off the top rope, you're 10 or 12 feet in the air, and you come down, you land on a mat or you land on the ring floor. There's no way that's not fake, or that's not really happening. It's really happening. But these guys are tough SOBs that can take that stuff, just like a football game. I mean, you ever been on the sidelines of a Cleveland Browns? I've stood on the sidelines of a Cleveland Browns game and just been amazed and in shock at how hard these guys hit each other, running into each other full speed, 100 miles an hour. And I just thought, God, that would kill me. But then they will look at, somebody picking me up and giving me a body slam in the ring, and they say, oh my God, that would kill me. So it's just what your body gets conditioned to do. And these football players are out there, they're conditioned to take that kind of abuse, play in and play out. And wrestlers are the same way. They put their body to a great deal of abuse and that sort of thing. But that's part of the job. That's what you do. You signed on to do that, and you train to do that. And so, they're great athletes, but by the same token, somewhere along the line, they realized that, there's this element of showmanship has to be involved. And it always was from the beginning. But then somewhere the cat got out of the bag and said, hey, this is, this is what we're doing. It's entertainment. And this element of showbiz is added to make this more entertaining. I mean, if you go and watch, you can go and watch wrestling or collegiate wrestling, and other than out in the Midwest, even the competitors' parents don't come to see the shows, or the matches. But professional wrestling and WWE is a different story. It's entertainment, and it's good entertainment. But I think what we have now is a lack of personal issues. And we talked about this once before on the podcast. Jerry Jarrett and I used to have hanging in his office a big sign that says, personal issues draw money. And that is something that you can still to this day get the fans invested in more so than you can. My beef with like what our product is today is, I think it's almost too much centered around championships and who's the champion, as opposed to the personalities and getting people invested in, two different personalities conflicting and that sort of thing. I'll just never forget. And then it's so easy to do. If one of the great personal issues that evolved out of something real, and that's why I say you should take advantage of real events. One of the great personal issues of whether people like the match or not or whatever was the rivalry between me and Michael Cole. I mean, how should that, two announcer guys, how should that have generated the level of interest that it did? Only between, a guy that had never even been in a wrestling ring before and a guy that was, a part-time commentator, part-time wrestler. And the reason it did is because it was a personal issue to where Michael Cole, talked about the passing of my mother. Yeah. And, and a lot of people would say, oh my gosh, you went too far. You should not include the passing of your mother into a wrestling show. Well, I mean, my mother really passed away. It really happened. And it's something that everybody can relate to. Everybody's lost loved ones. And so they could really relate to the fact of Michael Cole. And if you go back and look at this, I mean, I wouldn't have been okay with it being done any other way. I mean, Michael Cole never made light of the situation or anything like that. He just mentioned it. He just talked about it. That was such a taboo thing. And where that idea came from, I'll never forget back when I was just a fan going to matches. The fabulous Jackie Fargo, who was my mentor and my wrestling hero when I was just a teenager. Jackie Fargo was involved in this feud with Al Green, who was just this big lumbering old raw bone wrestler. I mean, not a high flyer or anything like this. These were two brawling kind of guys, but and Al Green wasn't like a top guy like Jackie Fargo was, but they were trying to I guess they just didn't have any other opponent for Jackie. So it was such a simple thing. Al Green went out and confronted Jackie Fargo one day, and he just he tried to make the thing personal. And he said, Fargo, Jackie Fargo, I've checked your family tree, and it looks like not only are you a coward, but you come from a long line of cowards. He said, Jackie Fargo, and Jackie had two brothers that wrestled. He says, your two brothers are cowards. He said, your mama was a coward, and your daddy was a coward. And Jackie just like all of a sudden came out of character and just said, hey, hang on a minute, Al. Don't talk about my dad. My dad is dead. And Al Green stopped for just a second, and then he said, well, your old dead daddy was a coward. And boom, Fargo punched him right in the mouth, and it was on right then. And that was just something that anybody could relate to, and it became personal. It just was, and that's the kind of stuff that still to this day will pique the interest of anybody, not just wrestling fans, but anybody. I mean, and when you go back and you look at what happened in the WWE, Stone Cold Steve Austin had a personal issue with Vince McMahon. Why should that have drawn money? Vince McMahon wasn't a wrestler, but they made it personal between each other, and everybody got invested in that, And then The Rock had personal issues with with Vince McMahon again as well. Vince to me is my favorite all-time bad guy, because he was able to make everything seem personal, and that's what I think is sometimes missing from today's matches. They just don't have a lot of personal issues anymore.
All right, King, final question comes from Russell on Twitter. He wants to know, does Jerry Lawler miss his royal family from Survivor Series 1994? Do you miss those guys, Jerry?
Well, you know what? I do miss them, but my aim is getting better. I'll get them eventually. No, that's the old joke. You know what? I didn't. Once again, we've talked about relationships in wrestling and everything. Those guys I got to be around for a short time, and they were really cool guys. Cheesy, Queasy, and Sleazy, who were my little kings during Survivor Series and my teammates in 1994, and they all had their little royal robes that looked just like mine and their crowns that looked just like mine, and that was one of my most fun rivalries there in the WWE, when we were going against Doink the Clown, and then of course Doink had his little guy, his little clowns, Dink and Wink and Pink, and so that was just, and even in that situation, we were able to make that personal by it was almost like two families. It was like Family Feud, and that was a lot of fun, and my favorite Survivor Series memory, because it was speaking of the network, go back if you have the WWE Network and watch Survivor Series from 1994, because that match was so much fun, so funny. Just the different things that went on in that, and if I think my memory is correct, that we the royal family won that match without even suffering one loss. We eliminated the entire Clowns Are Us family over there, but then I think at the end, my little royal teammates turned on me, and so it was a fun night. And yeah, I do miss those guys. One of Cheesy, I understand, just passed away a year or so ago, so he's no longer with us. But the other guys, I unfortunately have not kept up with where they live and how they're doing or anything like that. But yeah, I miss those guys. I would love to have a reuniting. That would be a cool thing for the Raw anniversary, to be reunited with my little royal family guys.
Yeah, that would definitely be an interesting segment for the 25th anniversary of Raw. All right, a little mini Ask the King Anything questionnaire. King, anything you want to say before you wrap it up?
Well, a lot of people have been tweeting me and asking about my TV show, which we got the second episode done of the King Jerry Lawler's Hall of Fame. I was talking about my Hall of Fame bar and grill down there. We got the second episode done of King Jerry Lawler's Memphis classic Memphis wrestling, and it's on, of course, CW 30, channel 30 here in Memphis. And we had a technical difficulty this past Saturday. Our second episode, which features Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. I had his brother, Dangerous Doug Gilbert, on as my guest on the show, and it was supposed to air at 8 o'clock this past Saturday night, and got to the bottom of it. Anyway, we turned it on at 8 o'clock Saturday night, and there was, once again, the episode with me and Bill Dundee, which had already aired 3 times. So I found out how the snafu occurred. My buddy that helps us put the show together and everything, and then is responsible for editing it and everything after we shoot it and then getting it to the control room. He had jury duty. We shot the show Saturday before last, and then he got it all edited, and then he got put on jury duty and was out for like a week. And apparently the person who he put in charge of getting the show transferred over into the control room dropped the ball some kind of way, so they re-aired the Bill Dundee episode. But this coming Saturday night at this coming Saturday, the new episode was scheduled to run at 5 p.m. So we will air the new episode with Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert at 5 p.m. and then they're going to re-show it again at 8 p.m. This coming Saturday. So it's going to get 2 airings Saturday, one at 5 p.m. and one at 8 p.m. And then next week it will be on Sunday at noon. So the Eddie Gilbert and Dangerous Doug Gilbert episode will get 3 airings, just as it should, just at different times.
Well, that's good that you get 2 airings this coming Saturday. I need to stick around down here when this airs, because it's not available online.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing. Everybody is asking me, all around the country, of course, like all around the world with our podcast, and people are saying, how can we see that classic Memphis wrestling show? And I've said in the past, I'm gonna, we're gonna find a way to, whether it gets on, it's on YouTube channel. I spoke with Scott Spiropoulos, who is one of the head guys over there at Channel 30. And I told him about the fact that, hey, people are getting in touch with me from all over the world, wanting to know how they can see the show. And he said, we're on it. We're working on it right away. And I don't know if it'll be put up on their website or where it can be streamed some kind of way or what. But we're gonna get that done sooner than later, where everybody everywhere can be able to see the show. And I would love to get it on the WWE Network, too. That would be great.
We're on Spotify. We have our own website, podavenue.com/king. If you want your own podcast or help with production for your podcast, you can head over to podavenue.com. There is a contact form, and we can get you professional production for your podcast. Or if you want to start your own podcast, give you the assistance that you need. So, King, you can follow him on Twitter at Jerry Lawler. Follow me at Glenn Moore CLE. We'll have a new episode next week. It is almost Christmas, King. I can't believe it. This month is flying by. So we'll talk to you guys next week on Dinner with the King, and I'm going to finish this waffle fry.
The preceding show is a Pod Avenue production.